And this is Dabu 7 Underground World News Live. I want to welcome everybody to the show on this Friday, September 30th, 2016. We've got quite a few different stories here to talk about. KC, Eric, how you guys doing?
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going. Plenty of stuff going on, that's for sure. As usual. But yeah, got a lot to talk about here tonight.
It's like a slow build, isn't it, Dabu, with all the stuff? Just it's like reaching a crescendo as we're approaching an election.
Right. Yeah, and we had the recent debate. Eric went up there and got coverage for us, and him and ToBeFree, and got to feel the environment. And you never know what an event's going to be till you get there, or what it's going to turn out like. And that one, even though it didn't have, I guess, the mass of people that we were expecting, I think the way that it was laid out may have had something to do with it. I mean, and you could speak more to this, Eric, but just from speaking to ToBeFree, it seems like he said that you guys had to go back to the hotel and dump all your equipment just to get into a secure zone where you had to hold your camera up in the air. And then inside of that, you had to still go through more to get inside of another cage called the free speech zone, right?
Yeah, pretty much what they did was they had the exits from the highway all blocked off. We just barely made it in. And that was a major deterrent, of course. There was other little main arteries to go inside of Hempstead all blocked off. There was major security there. Like, there was checkpoints all over the place. It was just a big cage. So once you get in there, well, once you attempt to get in there, there was a huge list of stuff that you can't bring in. Like, for example, tripods, e-cigarettes, like pretty much anything and everything. All you're able to bring in is probably your phone, your keys, battery pack, and that's about it.
They would allow a battery pack.
They did allow a battery pack, which I did find odd if they're not allowing e-cigarettes.
Right. I mean, it's just, you question why this, why that, and it comes back, takes me back to Cleveland with and we're banning tennis balls and everything else, But yeah, that's I don't know. What was your take on it after it was all said and done?
I think that because of that whole security issue, that's why nearly nobody showed up. There was only probably a few hundred people, but they were expecting well over 10,000. Because of the way how they had the security set up. And I even saw there was a guy periscoping 5 miles away. And he said that police sent the protesters to the side of a highway. And they were just protesting on the side of the highway, not even realizing that they were nowhere near the event. Why would they listen to the police and protest on the side of the highway? I don't know, but I did find that really odd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how many people would really want to go up and have to, give up all their goods to go inside of a cage. These debates are a different animal than different events, as you can tell. I mean, just like we had the high security at the RNC, DNC, these presidential debates, they're kind of going about it with the same attitude. Cage everything in. And this is extreme, though, to have a free speech zone literally caged off inside of a cage. It's ridiculous, man.
It was
can't
pretty
believe-
much just a really secure, fenced off parking lot with loads of police on the inside and outside. That was the free speech zone.
Well, I want to thank you guys once again for going up there and getting it done and being our eyes and ears on the ground. And next, we have St. Louis on the radar. I don't know how that's going to shake out per se, but I have a funny feeling that that'll be its own animal because that's the home of the whole BLM thing. And if they could muster, any goons from out the shadows, it would be in an area where they first established. But, the layout there, Washington University, it's going to be a distance away from downtown. And it's not going to be like in Ferguson, so to speak. But it will be interesting, in the end to see if they treat St. Louis and Vegas the same way, build these big cages and say, hey, if you want to say anything, you got to go through 2 layers of security to get to the center of the cage. Then you can say whatever you want. But guess what? No one's going to be nowhere near or around to hear it for it to be effective. If you remember right, in Cleveland, when they were trying to make the secure zone all massive, a judge actually knocked it down and rerouted the parade route, is what they called it, the protest march route. Because he said the way that they had it was ineffective. That the people they were protesting, they had a right to go near them so they could hear them. So, this comes down to, different laws and states, how they set these things up. But St. Louis just always seems to be prime for anything to pop off there. The protest, and guess we'll just have to wait and see. Jay, you guys got any stories here on deck? Casey? Thing you want to talk about?
Man,
we were talking about Russia and Syria here earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it's this ongoing proxy war. Obviously things are building up. And as we reach the election, it almost seems like Obama wants to be part of whatever's about to go down. And make no mistake, he's going to try to make something go down. You can almost guarantee that he's going to step this thing up. He's like a big spoiled baby, crying with his rattler. And because now they're starting to make moves on him or give the appearance of making moves on him in Congress and stuff, rejecting some of his vetoes and stuff. And, this is typical. They call this lame duck year. Usually the last year of the presidency, stuff starts getting rejected, or at least they give us the appearance of that. And then that's usually a dangerous time because it seems like presidents start acting out, like a spoiled child. They'll start doing weird stuff, trying to rock the boat. So keep an eye out for that, as things begin to escalate with Syria. And
they can always use it as a distraction for other things. I mean, and I say that loosely because in all reality, everything serves as a distraction for something else. But it's just the level of importance that there's certain things that are getting buried.
Right.
Our eyes open for and keep on digging.
Exactly. You hit the target. So, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, there's nothing we can really do about it, but it's stuff to look out for, I mean, in other words, those young soldiers, ready to go off to war, ready to go off to the recruiting station, recruitment office. I know it sounds grand and it sounds fun and it sounds like maybe you don't have any other choices in your life and you want to prove something or be a hero, but to go and sign up for this New World Order Army, it's not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of New World, Army, I just put out a story here recently about more international troops, what they're calling international troops, vanishing here in this country. It's where'd they go then? I mean, we get more that just keep slipping away into the shadows. And there's really no solid explanation as to what's going on. They're like, oh, this and that. But bottom line, we've got international troops. This time they're saying from Afghanistan that have just vanished. Now they're saying 7 are missing total in September. So it's growing. Back in Labor Day, there was a story on this saying 2 came from the Columbus, Georgia area, 1 from Virginia, 1 from Arkansas, 2 from Missouri, and another from the Fort Gordon area of Georgia. So, for those that missed that, something to pay attention to too when you've got international troops just vanish from military bases. To me, that would seem like it's a big red flag. Where are they going? What are they doing? But that's where that story sits. That number grows. I'll keep you guys posted. I've got links, as always, for all this stuff in the description. All the stories we're going to touch on here. This one here, this next one I was going to talk about is about North Carolina being able to block the release of camera footage. Now, you heard anything about that, Eric? Because I know they said something. There was a bill they were going to put out across the board. I thought that they were going to try to make it to where they could stop doing it, period, like across the whole United States. But I'm just not so sure. You with us, Eric? Eric may be
Eric's watching the dog.
Be occupied at the moment.
He's watching the dog.
Nonetheless, I mean, that's something to pay attention to because, look, we should have a right to see what's happening, in my opinion. Don't you guys think? Something goes down, we're all wanting to see that, body cam footage, dash cam footage, whatever. They're trying to make it to where they can just keep us in the dark. That means essentially anything and everything can happen.
Yeah, I don't even know why they even bother sometimes showing us the cam footage, It's like they're going to do what they're going to do. It's almost like they want us to see what they're doing.
Well, it's all manipulated, I mean, mainstream manipulation.
Hey, D, what was the question? I had a pepper in my mouth.
It was in regards to them saying they were no longer going to release footage, body cam footage and all that in North Carolina.
They haven't really publicly announced it. Like, it is out open for people to view, but it's not like it's been talked about on the mainstream media or anything. So once tomorrow hits, then that's really going to show people that, like, look, it's not even public anymore, and that's going to be something to watch on the public's reaction to that.
Right. And as always, we'll update with more info as we get it on these stories. And just trying to punch in. It's been a while since I've streamed over here on this channel, and I've still got some things to work out as far as setting mods and doing other things. And I know I had a lot of people here wanting to join us tonight, but I had a boatload, and sometimes it can be too many people here overstepping when we got a lot to talk about. And nothing against nobody personal. By no means, but gets kind of crowded in here. You get way too many people on some nights. But much love to everybody out there that's tuned in, everybody that shares the link. As always, it's appreciated. You guys got any other stories you guys want to touch on here before I start peeling off some of these other ones?
Yeah, peel them off. We'll just chime in.
What?
Peel them off. We'll just chime in.
Oh, you chopped out there for a minute. Sounded crazy.
Hello.
All right. The next one here is talking about those clowns we were talking about.
Man,
he's creeping out everywhere. Now, this is one I'm taking personal because it's hit home, and they've been showing up around schools where I live. I tell you what, I mean, somebody's gonna mess around here, end up getting beat down bad somewhere. Showing up around people's schools in these clown costumes. It's Florida, Virginia, Colorado, Kentucky. I'm sure more than that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm starting to wonder if this is the angle. If the angle is like basically like a terrorist kind of thing, like a false flag terror clowns, right? And then what they're going to do is they're going to like have these clowns carrying out like acts of terrorism or harassing people or doing weird stuff. And then it's going to prompt people out of fear to change the laws where you have to actually show your face. Like you're not allowed to wear anything that covers your face so that they can do this facial recognition software. Okay. And the reason why I know a little bit about this, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the past, I was thinking and considering moving to Ecuador. But after I did some research, I've discovered that Quito, which is the capital of Ecuador, is #1 in the world for facial recognition software, like infrastructure. And so they're using it as a testing ground. I mean,
you know what's crazy is that's where the Habitat 3 summit is going to be.
Exactly. I remember you did a video on that, and I was like, it like clicked, and I was like,
you said Quito and it clicked with me. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're not doing some psyops on us with these creepy clowns, so that basically we all just agree. Remember the hoodie thing? Remember that passed, and they said you couldn't wear hoodies in certain cities or something like that.
Right. And they were doing the same stuff along the lines with the Anon masks. Even saying at certain cities they couldn't have them, like Baltimore or something.
Exactly. And then what they're going to do, okay, so people ask me, so why don't they want our faces covered? Well, it's just all about control, you guys. So yeah, on one aspect, people aren't going to be able to rob banks and get away. You know, their face is going to be recognized. But basically, Europe's already there. Like if you go to UK and France and stuff, they've already got facial recognition software. So that's why people don't do crimes, because you can't get away. And if you're walking on the street with your face covered, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. And if you're exposed, then you're going to get picked up by the cameras. And see, they desensitize us to this stuff in the movies. This is why they show it in the movies. You know, it's facial recognition software in these spy movies and stuff, right? And so that's where all this is headed, because they want to maintain control. Now, what this also means is that you're not going to be able to escape. So if you don't pay your taxes, they're going to find you. There's no escape. You know, they're going to pick you up, and it's going to be like 1984, George Orwell. And there's going to be a TV in every room, a camera in everything. So,
yeah, and I put out an update to a story here recently dealing with the same stuff, and I guess some people, I don't know if they had a guilty conscience or what, but they didn't like it. And I'm sorry if you don't like the truth, but I was reporting that LAPD has been using satellites now for years, tracking people in real time, in bragging that they could actually rewind in TiVo. They caught you walking out of a grocery store and they wondered where you were at. They could zoom in on you, like zooming in on Google Maps, and rewind and track you back your every step of where you were in the city.
Yep.
And I guess this has some people bugged, like, well, dude, tracking me everywhere, every block, every corner. And they are. They're watching everything. And not only that, by satellite, they're tapped into every camera on every corner. It's literal eagle eye.
Yeah, and you can always tell what's about to go down with the New World Order, because they have these squads, and it's basically like a false flag squad. And that squad carry out a specific purpose, a specific act, and they do it to advance whatever legislation that they're going to push forward. So there's a movie with Denzel Washington in it, and they carry out 3 different false flag attacks. And each of those attacks in the movie, I forget the name of the movie, but it was all about state surveillance and stuff. Each one was on a different venue, and the venues seemed to line up with what we just experienced. One was at a school, one was during like a marathon, and one was like in a transportation thing. So wasn't it weird that like in 2012 all the way to the present, we've had every single false flag has been in a different venue? It's almost like nothing repeated, and that's not natural. When terrorists terrorize, they usually do something in a specific kind of location. They don't keep switching around and around like, oh, we're going to do it in a bus station this time. This time we're going to do it at an airport. This time we're going to do it at a school. That's how you know they're false flags, because they're trying to cover all the bases so that we're sufficiently terrorized, right? So that we then accept whatever legislation that they advance. And that's how this works.
And even here recently, when you say that, it makes me think of the train wreck in Jersey, because when it first happened, we're like, oh, it's a wreck. And me and Eric were going back and forth, like, how, looking at satellite images and everything else. Like, how could, and then the next thing we hear is joint task terrorism or whatever is getting involved in it. We're like, oh, here we go.
Well, you notice there was an interview I just saw on this, and the guy goes, it sounded like a bomb, but I know it wasn't a bomb because I was there when it happened. What does that sound like? That sounds like it was a bomb that threw the train off the tracks. I heard 3 or 4 different interviews that said they heard a loud explosion. It sounded just like a bomb.
You know what's crazy is the Port Authority just south, at the next port just south, they had a massive drill scheduled that same day. And the Port Authority owns that area south. They own the area right there at the transit. And they also own the 16 acres that the World Trade Center sits on.
Wow.
That's who controls all that land. And that port, let me tell you something, that port is vital. You have, by land, sea, and air, stuff being shipped out of that port constantly. You take that thing out or you cripple it, you're talking doing some damage. It could have been a damn dry run for all we know.
Oh, yeah.
Small scale. I mean, who knows? Or maybe it was supposed to be bigger and foiled down some, but something just doesn't seem right about it. And
well, and again, like you said, they already have sufficient control, total control over the airlines, right? And if you're on a no-fly list and all this, right, that's completely controlled now. Surveillance everywhere, body scans. Well, what's left? Now they got to do that to the trains. So how are they going to make that happen? They're gonna do false flag attacks in the trains. That way, people accept more surveillance, more control. Next thing you know, they're going to have the TSA down in the freaking train stations.
did you see that image I sent out of Charlotte? Where all the cops were sitting in that room, and there must have been, it was like the whole wall was cameras, dude. Whole wall. Like, I mean, they tapped into every single camera in the city. They were watching the march and the protest go down every block, corner to corner.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. People don't even realize it. But when you see it from inside the room, it's like, whoa, they're watching everything. And if they've got that, they never release that footage. They never show us that footage. If they had that kind of footage, then they watched Justin Carr get assassinated and shot, head blown off right there in Charlotte. Yet we never see none of that footage.
Yep.
You know, oh, they've got footage to everything. Like I said, eagle eye. What were you saying, Eric?
Also, to touch on that whole train incident, there's a thing, if some don't know about trains and all that stuff, there's something called positive train control. Right. It's a system that they use to help control the speeds of trains and all of that stuff. Well, New Jersey never implemented it. 0 trains have it, no tracks have it, nothing, no employees have been trained.
They never implemented it.
It was supposed to go in effect January 1st, 2016. That's when the whole system was supposed to be done and everybody was supposed to be using it. But New Jersey has done none of it.
Who's responsible for this?
It's between New Jersey Transit and the, I believe the Federal Railroad Association. Don't quote me on that. Be rich with no more information on that.
Who was, so, I mean, what was the problem? Funding? Or, I mean, who was contracted?
It was pretty much funding. They used the money that they were given by government grants improperly.
Oh, so they blew it. Now they're going to get away with it.
Yeah, and now because this whole thing, they're getting a brand new train station. Watch them get billions of dollars in so they can build a new train station.
And that's how they do it, Eric. I mean, the government writes a check to a city or area, but then you got to go by all the rules. That's how they implement their control. I was driving down the street the other day with my girl, and we looked on the corner, and up on the top near the stoplight, there was a box with antennas poking out of it. And on the front of the box was like a police badge. And I was like, she goes, do you see that? I'm like, what? And I looked up. This is all over Dallas. The next block, there it was again. The next block, there it was again. It's like, what is this stuff? Now, I'm sure if I Googled this and looked, there might be some obscure article that talks about, you know, whatever they're implementing in downtown Dallas through the police department or whatever. But that's kind of creepy, you know?
Yeah, that's a little odd.
Yeah, on every corner, and it's got like it had like a police badge on it. So obviously, it was from the police department. And antennas. It almost looked like a booster box for like an internet, like you'd see plugged into your wall or something like that.
There's many uses for those things. I know one use is like a repeater system for their walkies.
Oh,
Yeah, but there is many different uses for them. Each one has its own different use. So you
right.
wouldn't really know what it is unless you open it up and see what device is inside.
Wow. Yeah.
Hell, I mean, that reminds me of Oregon standoff when Lavoie climbed the pole and they were like, there's cameras in there. And he climbed up and opened it. Sure enough, multiple cameras.
Hey, what was up with that? They had identified one informant. Were there any other informants identified so far?
Well, they said that Mark guy was listed as an informant. And then they had mentioned that there were agents. And I kept skimming through to see if any of these people would tweet out any names. They named some agents, but they were like, I guess, known agents. It wasn't, they didn't name, so to speak, anybody that was involved as being like a snitch or like undercover informant besides that McConnell.
So we have confirmed one guy who's undercover agent, and we tried to say there were going to be undercover people there, and no one believed us. And they're like, no,
Right.
no. And the guys are smarter than that.
It's gonna keep on shaking out. You'll see who ends up walking and everything else, and it'll speak for itself.
Yeah.
Didn't go down the way they wanted it.
Yep, exactly. So they had to scrub the plan, and they had to do recovery effort basically. And then see what happens with this stuff. It's funny because they reveal all their secrets through the film. Okay, fiction is really reality in Hollywood. That's why they call it a newsreel, because it's actually real. And what it is they have to adjust their plan. They sometimes they like to recycle their informants and their agents, and basically, they gotta come up with a game plan if they fail, if the mission fails. And I think all of us were part of that mission failing. They wanted a bloodbath. That's what they wanted. They wanted a Waco siege, a standoff, and they wanted a bunch of people to show up. But by the end of it, all the people that were left were the informants. They're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, in like Ritzheimer's plea, he took time served, and he's got just a little bit more time that he's got to do. This time next year, he's going to be free. He's going to be scot-free. Who knows how else they're going to do? And then what scares me about individuals like that is then they can run around brazen and knowing they're fully informant.
Right.
Because they're working for the man. They'll run around brazen like, oh, I did my time. We served. We did this. We stood for the country. We know what to do now. And then try to make a second stab and run at
it. And for people that are still in denial, if you look back at the headlines of what these people were charged with, it almost sounded like they were going to get like life in prison or the death penalty for
not just getting tossed down.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden everything just goes away. And if that's not suspicious to people, then they're not awake as they think they are, because you don't take over a federal building and get off scot-free. You just don't. I don't care if you're under the guise of, I'm in the media. It doesn't matter. If you saw a CNN guy in there, he get the charges. Why do some people?
No, there was a guy running around in their front line, had him signing contracts. Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for a documentary, filming a documentary. He was allowed in there. We did a huge video on him. What's up with that? Who the hell's this clown? We're supposed to be in here in a standoff. Just a few of them left. And there's a dude running around with a clipboard like, here, sign here. What? That's not reality. You kidding me?
Yeah, that must have been I must have dozed off when that part happened. That's when I fell asleep. Oh man. Anyway, that's crazy.
I've got what's that?
So we're about to make a move. We're about to get out of the city, out of here, out of Dallas, trying to get out into the suburbs.
It might be wise.
Yeah.
I got another story here, and I know everybody watched the debate. Well, most people out there tuned in, caught a clip of it, piece of it here. If you didn't, what we showed the footage, and you can go back and you can watch it. It's interesting because they say that no ear mics were allowed for this debate for the moderators. And if you guys go back and you watch Lester Holt at the very beginning when they started, you can hear him say, I can't hear you. It's breaking out. It's breaking out. Then he says, I can hear you. Busted. I just haven't had time to even do a video. That's in the wide open. He was busted. Everyone was talking about the wire going up Hillary's back and, you know, her touching her face, giving the signals, and how Holt was in on it with her the whole way anyway. But, you know, I don't know. They can sit there and say, if this is not allowed, they can break the rules and nothing happens.
You know what's crazy, man, is, let's talk about the debates for a minute.
She had notes on her stand too, and some little short dude came up and snatched them up off the podium as soon as they walked off to shake Lester's hand. And then half the media made it clipped out and was producing clips showing that Lester shook her hand and then Trump snubbed him and walked off to the side. They showed that. But what they didn't show is just a few seconds later, Trump actually walked over to him and shook his hand. That's how deceptive the media is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that whole thing was just, it seemed so staged. I mean, here you have Trump with all this data, all this stuff with Hillary's record that he could have went over, but maybe he didn't attack her record because then she would have just shot back and said, well, at least I have a record, and he really didn't. So, I mean, at first I was a little burnt out that Trump didn't talk about Benghazi and talk about some of these other things that Hillary failed at, you know, that she never did do anything right, or talk about some of these Clinton scandals, like back when they were in Arkansas and they were running drugs and all this. I don't know if you guys saw the documentary on the Clintons when they were in Arkansas and he was governor. They were basically running drugs. And he didn't bring any of that up. But, you know, here's what happened.
I hate to say it, but dude, a real debate up there would get damn heated if not the blood blows. Mm-hmm. I'm talking a real true, where this is not set up, staged, scripted, where you've got true passion and true people. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. It's fixed, man. And here's the thing, make no mistake. Here's how you get through the glass doors in this world. You start rubbing elbows with the rich. And how do you think they get rich? They steal money from the poor. And then they got dirt on each other because they had some secret backdoor deal, or they got elected through money, you know, that was
the moment they get into the Masonic ranks or to any private club, they have dirt set upon them.
Exactly.
It's part of the oath that they take.
So it just becomes a mud bath, you know, bloodbath. It just becomes like a battle where they're just battling it out. And neither of them want that. They don't want to be exposed. They want to maintain their image. And so they just agree not to bring up certain things. And it's like a big game. And all it does is get us all rooting for our team and divided against one another. That's what the whole political process is and always has been. It's basically another fixed team sport. That's what politics is.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it took me a while. I mean, I used to be, you know, I still have conservative values to a certain degree, but, you know, I used to be all into like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. I'd listen to it on my way to work in the morning because I had a lot of windshield time. And I was brainwashed, you know, and I woke up one day and I realized, I was like, man, like, why am I just angry at 50% of the people in this world all the time, which are Democrats at that time, is who I was angry at. And I was like, man, these people have me brainwashed. I like hate people that are on that side and how they think. And that ain't right. And then I was like, I get it. They have us divided, the red versus the blue. And they love it.
Man, I'd love to debate, moderate that debate. I'd shred them. They wouldn't. I'd assassinate a motherfucker before I even got to the stage.
Well, Lester Holt's like that guy, I don't even know how he worked.
Come on, man. He's mainstream groomed as it gets. Just like a Geraldo.
He looks like he's got a permanent smile on his face. I don't know what tragedy he covered where like thousands of people died or something. And he just looks like he's smiling all the time. It's like, that's weird.
It's tattooed on. That's why.
It's tattooed on.
Crocodile smiles.
He got a tattooed on smile. It's like that creepy, inappropriate smile, you know? Like someone smiling at a funeral or something.
Right. Makes you think they're guilty.
Yeah, man. So I don't know.
I've got another one. This is a shout out to Centurion Report. This was a tweet that was sent out, and this goes along with the UN stuff. The UN sent out a tweet, and they try to cover it up, obviously, and say, oh, it was an error. But they actually sent out a tweet from the official site that said that 8 million Americans abroad can stop Trump. This tool can surely make sure they all vote. And they have a little tool that they were trying to promote. But what they did is they screwed up and they showed their stance. You're talking the UN.
Wow.
They showed their stance on this whole thing and where they sit.
Oh,
and it's against Trump and supporting Hillary.
And USA Today did the same thing for the first time in USA Today history. Now, I know a little bit about USA Today because I used to work at a printing plant that printed USA Today in Merced, California. It was my first job out of college. I worked at that printing plant, and we used to print USA Today, Newsweek, US News, and it's crazy when you're in that environment and it's real time and files are coming in. And, you know, you're running like the sheet fed. Well, I wasn't running the sheet fed press. I was an account manager, but they're running this big press with big old.
I ran a sheet fed.
Yeah. Have you ever run a web press?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Acrylic. I've run all kinds of different presses, man.
Yeah. So you see this stuff come in. You see the files come in. You meet the publishers, right? The quote unquote publishers. And you see the whole process of the trickery. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I was a 22-year-old kid, but now looking back, seeing how these publishers come in, they sent the files in, and then like at the last minute, they'll like change something, right? And then like we had to throw away like $100,000 worth of paper or whatever because we printed it all off with this on it, and instead they wanted that on it. And it was like it seemed like the most insignificant little changes, but it's huge to them, right? Because if they make mistakes for their plan, their master plan, then they have to change it. And yeah, it was like clockwork, man. TV Guide, US News, Newsweek. That was my my first job out of college.
You said Newsweek. I was looking. I thought this was going to say Newsweek. Right? You said this is Newsmax. This is a story out of Newsmax here, and this is dealing with some space news. And we've all heard of them getting the radio signals from deep space and all the lies. All the lies.
Oh, yeah.
All the deception that comes with space.
Hey, did you guys touch on the earthquake that was just off of Cuba?
In Honduras?
Cuba.
Just south of, you said just south of Cuba. I seen one that hit on the inner flanks of the Gulf there, right off of Honduras, south of Cuba.
There's a 5.0 just south of Cuba, which could be
recent,
close to Honduras.
Recent.
But yeah, I find it kind of odd because Cuba's about to get hit by that major hurricane that's coming in, Hurricane Matthew.
We talked about the pressure before, all the pressure of a hurricane coming through and affecting the continent, you know what I'm saying? And the plates.
Yeah, this hurricane went from tropical storm force winds yesterday to now being a category 4, about to be upgraded to 5 within the next few hours.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up and did an update on that. That's that's strengthening up quick.
What's the name of it? Is it already named the hurricane, Eric?
Matthew.
Hurricane Matthew.
Matthew. Look it up quick.
Yeah, because I just kept seeing today that it went from one category to the next, and I'm like, damn, this thing's charging up.
Wow.
Yeah, they're expecting this thing to be at category 5 speed in like the next 3 to 4 hours, which will mean today, most likely.
Dude, a cat what?
Category 5.
Dude, that ain't messing around. A Cat 5 hurricane is some power.
And this thing is supposed to downgrade, hopefully, to a category 4 before it hits Jamaica. But if anybody's listening in Jamaica, get ready.
Yeah, I got it pulled up on the I got it pulled up on Wikipedia. Here's the storm track right here. And looks like this is it. This is the path up the Atlantic seaboard which means it could affect New York if it picks up some steam.
Yeah, we already got alerts to be on the lookout.
Wow, Hurricane Matthew. Look at that thing. That's evil looking. I just watched a movie, as a matter of fact, called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button with Brad Pitt, where he's born an old man, and as he grows up, he turns into a baby. Like it's all opposite.
Yeah.
And during the story, they're in the hospital as Hurricane Katrina approaches, and it's the eye of the storm coming toward the hospital as the story's getting told. And it's crazy because like that's the iris, that's the cervix, that's going back into the womb. That's what I think that the hurricane represents. The aperture, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this here.
All right, I got the spaghetti model right now. I'll show you guys. What's my screen share?
1 second.
All right.
Look at that wind. Look at that wind already battered into place. All right, let me stop screen sharing so I can share yours.
Yeah, this is the models for as of like, I think this is Wednesday. It is either Wednesday or Thursday. This is one the possible tracks it can take, but as you can see, they're all bringing it up towards this direction, which is kind of good. But they're saying that once it gets up past North Carolina, it could do a bend towards the New Jersey area or up to the Massachusetts area.
Thing is how much more steam will it pick back up, if any, once it breaks Cuba? Because once it, the eye goes over land, it loses that steam. Once it gets back over warm water, that's when it can energize again. It's if it has enough shear to push it. And I don't know, the way the models look, they've got it winding down, but like we've seen before, it hits that warm water. Like you're saying here, it could charge back up and go right up the coast. It's the thing with these hurricanes that come in this way, you just don't know until, literally a couple days ahead which way it's really heading.
Yeah, and I've noticed like inside of this area just east of Florida, that's usually when they try to re-intensify. And usually with that intensification process is when it decides which track it's going to take.
In this last one we had a massive high that sat to the north that kept that one kind of bogged down, and then it pushed it up the East Coast. And then once it got up off the coast of Jersey and New York, we had Gaston still spinning out there in the Atlantic, keeping it kind of in place till everything shifted. This one came about rather quick. It came together in about rather quick here, and definitely have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, this thing popped up in 36 hours. That's
with a lot of power.
This is one of the few in recorded history that's developed so quickly.
Sounds to me like man-made.
Damn. But the way you put it, yeah, that's it's definitely one to keep an eye on then. If it's setting records like that.
Yeah. It's curious too, because in that movie, Benjamin Button, when he's born, he's so ugly that his dad tries to throw him in the river, right?
Yeah.
And so he ends up dropping him off on these steps. So if you go back to the beginning of the movie, you see Brad Pitt as a baby, right, as a little old man wrapped up in like a sack, which is like the placenta, at the bottom of these stairs. So that's like the Highway Canal. And at the top of the stairs, they show this lamp, and the lamp is shaped like the eye. It's got like the light, right, and the coming in through the eye, and it's got like a round thing around it, so it looks like the eye. Like the whole movie is symbolic, but it's basically like being born into the eye, born into like the womb, and then when you die, you go back through the Highway Canal, and back to inside and go to heaven. So that's how that works. But yeah, I was gonna decode that, but ended up not doing it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the movie's full of symbolism, man. Full of it.
Oh, they all are. Stuff I was seeing here recently on that Angelina and Brad stuff. Like, as soon as it broke that they broke up, I started tearing into some of their occult stuff and all into the Tinseltown stuff. But even her, she even though she wants to break away from Hollywood and all this other stuff, I started watching the clips on her admitting, you know, of her occult connection with witchcraft and associating with these demons.
And she left her stuff pretty open. It's like really out there to everyone to see.
I'll never forget that one time she had Billy Bob Thornton's semen around her neck.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my God. Oh yeah, they did some crazy stuff, but it seems so crazy. But once you see what the occult's all about and the things that they do, and it's right there. It's what it's all about. It's what they're doing. And yeah, everybody in Hollywood and music industry knows this. It's no big secret there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're involved in some really occult stuff. Like that's how they get to where they get. And I mean, think about it. You're up and coming actor, actress, and I've heard of crazy stuff like these, like demonic parties, sex parties, orgies. Like, and then they videotape it or they take pictures of all of it. They get you to sell yourself to the devil, your soul to the devil, or they get you to sign a contract in blood. And then what happens is they got pictures of all that stuff, right? And if you ever try to like rat them out, they'll just basically blackmail you. And that's what they do. And your career's over. And these people are so hungry for fame, so hungry for money. They sell out for the serpent dollar that they do whatever they're told, whatever it involves. They give up all their morality and their soul and everything. I mean, these people are even sacrificing babies in certain circles, you know? And
it's happening in our government too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And basically that's what's going on. And so then they just get darker and darker from there on out. It just keeps getting worse as they go to the dark side. I mean, it's literally like on Star Wars where the light side, they're like young, handsome, good looking, but then as they go to the dark side, they turn like evil looking, like the darkness takes them over. And if you look in these people's eyes, there's nothing left, you know? There's nothing left behind their eyes. It's like pure evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a thing really quick. I'm gonna re-screen share. This is the earthquake area right there, right in the path of Matthew.
Where's the quake? The lower one?
The quake is that red circle.
So they hit Jamaica or Haiti?
It was right between Cuba and Haiti.
Wow, that's a unique spot, and it's right there, right ahead of where it's.
See if I can pull this up. There we go.
What's the magnitude?
5.0.
What's the depth?
The depth. I'll look into it. I didn't see it. It wasn't inside any of the stuff that I saw.
If you click on it, I was gonna say I didn't know what you had open there.
It's just an image. It was a radar image.
Let me hold on one second here. I'll find out right quick. Hopefully. All right, we've got yeah, damn. 117 minutes ago, magnitude 5, 53 kilometers southeast of Baracoa, Cuba. And it is a very shallow quake. It's only 10 kilometers deep. You compare that to the quakes hitting Tonga right now that are 100 kilometers deep. So, yeah, it's something to pay attention to. We said before, all that pressure that comes through, I mean, it's got to affect the land and everything else.
Right, exactly. Well, got to save some prayers for the people down there in the Caribbean, right? I mean, that's crazy. They're about to get hit, but they're used to it by now.
Well, I just showed a little bit of that wind battering them. Yeah, prayers going out to anyone affected by all this madness, but you know, it's going to continue at this point. I got another link in here talking about the markets, and check this out. The FAA is saying that this just might happen. A virtual marketplace for a future moon village. Now, why I'm talking about this is because they're taking this serious. And if they make a market space for this, tradable on the stock market and everything else, that means they are very serious about this. I think it just goes to show that something's going on. I'm not sure how this is all going to pan out, but for them to make moves like this, just to me shows that there's a whole lot more invested in that moon than what anyone's told, and especially when they get ready to make moves like this.
I mean, like, who in their right mind would want to go live in a lunar hamster cage?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it's going to amount to, right?
I'm sure the view is nice though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a unique experience. Period. Whether you're going to live and stay. I mean, people go on vacation to all types of places. Imagine if you go on vacation for the weekend to the moon. Even though you could be going outside, walking around, doing anything, but yeah, the view of the Earth would just be absolutely stunning.
I like to see it happen just to prove once and for all if we've ever been to the moon.
Yeah, that pisses me off because the damn thing's sitting right there. We can all see it. I feel like humans feel like sometimes you can shoot it with the gun. You know what I mean? It's like right there. It's like, damn it. I know we ain't got the funds to do it, but come on, man. You got Elon Musk talking about going to Mars and all this other shit. These cats with this money, if we had a rocket, how'd have done hit that moon? We'd have live streamed the whole damn thing. I don't care if it would have crashed on it or not. We'd have launched. We'd have tried, but I think they already know the full scale spectrum of what's happening up there with all the bases and everything.
Yeah.
I zoom in on the moon all the time. I can't zoom in with my camcorder live for some reason as much as I can when I'm not using it. But when I got a full digital zoom and I can get in on that moon on a clear night, man, we see stuff all the time. But, I used to show the stuff all the time on my channel. And it's just point to like, we realize stuff's going on, but it's like, what can we do about it?
Yeah, like, do they have like images? Like, I know that there's some really high powered telescopes on this planet that can zoom in to like stars and galaxies and all that, right? So why don't they ever point it at the moon and look at like
they forbid you to, and that should tell you something else. Any of the cats that go to these universities, they're forbidden to point there, because that was my first thought. If we can use a telescope here at one of these universities and they'll let us do it, or if I can pay to use it, let's do it. Let's point the damn thing at the moon. And I quickly found out that there's rules.
That's crazy. Like, I want to see the flag that was supposedly put up on the moon. Let's see that. You should be able to see
that's a good point. You should find that, and we should literally try to find it. Because Dark Skywatcher out there has got some equipment and telescopes and cameras and everything else, and he gets up on that moon good. If we could find the exact location, that's a good point. We need to zero in on it.
Why don't they point the Hubble telescope at the moon? Like, we have all these telescopes. We have flybys of the moon.
Yeah, and it's not like the moon's really rotating, so it's always in the same exact spot.
Right. It's because it unravels the whole game. There's a whole different level of life and understanding of life that's come with all this, and they're going to try to capitalize on it, but they're staged bullshit.
Pretty much. I don't believe anything anymore unless I know it for myself to be true.
There's so much deception. You follow your heart.
Yeah. And some stuff this doesn't matter. Like, I don't like to argue about stuff because some of it just doesn't matter, because that feeds right into their divide and conquer tactics, right? But I'll be darned if I'm going to let someone tell me this is the way it is and you have to believe this. No, and if I don't see it for myself, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah. And, I'm ready. I'm ready to same thing. I mean, I'd love to go and see all these places, but hell, we can't even see our own poles of this planet.
Exactly.
That pisses me off. Yeah, we should be able to go there, fly over them, fly near them.
Yeah,
there is the massive oceanic depression, they call it, in the north. Then they won't let nobody go anywhere near it. You're going to run into Russian military, Canadian, U.S., all of them guarding it What are they guarding? Why are they all surrounding the spot out in the ocean in the north?
Especially down in Antarctica too.
There
That
too.
has the
Same thing.
largest agreement of nations ever that protect that thing.
Yeah. And they're saying, oh, it's to preserve the Antarctic, right? And you're not allowed to throw any trash down there and all this. I got news for you. If you could survive, I mean, right there, no one's going to be able to survive down there. So what is this rule that they have? It's not to protect the environment down there. The corporations are the ones that do the damage. And you and I ain't a corporation last time I checked. So
Yes, we are.
Oh, that's right. That's crazy.
And you're listed by your social security number.
That's right.
You're actually, how should I put it like this? I forget how he worded it. The United States is basically a corporation itself. And you, with your social security number, you're an employee of that corporation.
Right. Exactly.
And Reptoid Hunter sent me something the other day, and it would not work for me because my birthday was off by like just a few months for it to work. It had to be older. It had to be like June 1980 or older before that, your birthday. But it showed you what you're worth, what you are listed, like your value, what they see you as in numbers by your social security number and your date of birth and all your information, like a money number, like the value of you is crazy.
Look up not prenatal, but infant DNA screening and Department of Labor, and you'll be shocked. The Department of Labor was the one who pushed for screening of children. All the children are born, their DNA is screened whenever they get their foot pricked. That screening that they go through, and they take their blood and they run tests on it. That was established by the Department of Labor. So why is the Department of Labor doing prenatal screening?
Good points.
Because it's all about the labor. It's all about what we're worth, as a labor commodity. It's sick, man. But we're saved by the blood of Yeshua, and that's all that matters. And he delivers us. So we don't have to worry or live in fear, even though we know the truth about this world. We don't live in this. We're not of this world, as he said. We're not of this world. Our eyes are fixed on heaven. So that's what that's about.
Trying to load up another link here. Oh, there it goes. This is in terms of the markets. We all hear the same old crap of this and that with the markets all the time. And bottom line, it's rigged and it's staged and it's propped up. And if it's going to go, it's going to go in a time that they choose. What I find interesting is over on Zero Hedge, they give out this, what they're calling a formal alert. And it doesn't make much sense to me with all the stuff they always talk about the markets and everything else. What they go on to talk about here is something that I think is big. And I was talking about this before we started, and this is really something I think people should pay attention to here. We all know that Saudi Arabia has ties and connections to the events that took place in this country in 9/11. We all know that they tried to push this bill for the victims to be able to sue Saudi Arabia because of all this stuff. And then Obama was going to come and he blocks it. And then Congress comes back and says, oh, well, we're going to push it through and all this stuff. Well, B gave me some interesting updates here, and I think people need to see this for how it is. This isn't just, and it should be just a single issue in this instance. But they're basically saying that if this goes through, other countries can take us to tribunals. You see, this isn't just going to, it's designed to make it look like it's for our benefit, that the people could just go rushing to sue Saudi Arabia. But that's not the reality of it. It's opening up everything to a tribunal, and they needed a grand excuse to get the people to take the bait to go running after it, to say, oh, hell yeah, we've been waiting to sue these fools. Push this thing through, but you didn't read the fine print because you was never told about the fine print. And that fine print says that in turn, other countries like China, Russia, and all these others can come through and sue you and pull your ass into a tribunal. And that's scary shit. When you've got Chinese, Russians, and everybody else that chop people's heads off in a courtroom that are overseeing your future and what comes of you. That's the truth of it. So the reality is this whole thing about Saudi Arabia should be singled out solely on Saudi Arabia. And that's it. There should be no stipulations to where, oh, you're going to find your ass in a tribunal because you tried to go after them. Tribunal is like a military court. Okay? And this is the eerie part. This is the part that's going to blow everybody away that's been listening here tonight. I've been saving this. This is, to me, personally, I think it's just crazy. There's a movie in 1981, and I'm going to play the audio so you guys can hear it. And I'm going to play it while you look at this screen here, this report from RT. And I'm going to explain to you like this. On RT, they're saying that the Saudis, because of all this stuff, are about to yank their money out of our economy. And I'm here to tell you that if there was ever any one thing that could bring our economy down with one huge blow, it's that. They've set it up this way to make it happen this way. They have so much invested in this economy that if they pulled out all their billions in one day, it would flatline us. And then once our domino fell, all the others would start to fall. And I've said it before, you can't bring in a new world order unless all the dominoes fall.
Wow.
Now listen, this is what's crazy. In this movie, they talk about it step by step. This rich white dude's talking to this Saudi billionaire, and they're sparring back and forth. And he tells him, you agreed to do this in slow amounts, not take big chunks of money out of the system. And he says, "What? Our oil's going to dry up. What do you expect us to do?" Da, 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 da. And he says, you're going to cause a panic. And a false panic is what's going to send this thing into a catastrophe. And he's warning them not to do this. Lo and behold, in the end, it happens. The Saudis say, screw it. They pull everything it got out. The whole thing collapses, and then what do they start showing? They start showing the chaos and the protests and the madness in every country, Europe, United States, all over. And it all unfolds. And if there is one huge linchpin that they're kind of baiting out here in the mainstream media in front of all of us, ticker taping it right into your mind, it's this. They could do it overnight at any given time. It doesn't have to be an EMP. It doesn't have to be any attack. All these cats got to do is try and say, hey, we're taking all of our money out now. And effectively, we're done. They can't create enough money to fill that void like they've been doing.
It's all by design. So basically, that's why we've been going all out with this war footing for dozens of years. So and just kind of doing whatever we want. But then they give the appearance to us American citizens that the world loves us, but really the world hates us. And then from the outside looking in, when the next logical step is Saudi Arabia pulls their money out and then our economy crashes, all by design. It's crazy.
Saudis could pull billions from the U.S. economy. And this is all stemming to what they're saying is the 9/11 lawsuits. I'm going to share the screen here. And I want you to think about everything I just told you. And I'm going to run some audio here. Just a second.
Well, that makes
Tell me
sense.
go ahead.
That makes sense with all the staging they're doing, the FEMA coffins, UN vehicles, getting ready for this whole thing to go down. The forced vaccinations.
You hear anything?
No, I don't hear anything. No, I do. Turn it up though.
In exchange for winter camp.
But you have winter camp.
Our contract has to be renegotiated so that if Borough National goes under, I don't lose my company to the Saudis. My silence is the only leverage I have.
Forgive me, but silence about what? Some secret financial manipulation? You expect them to believe me if I use those words?
Walter, you cannot pull $95 million in one chunk from a bank the size of Borough National. When I undertook to manage this plan, you agreed to do it gradually in small amounts. You're now starting to move billions in a matter of weeks.
The world economic situation is deteriorating more rapidly than we had thought. We don't think we can afford to wait, Max.
There will be no collapse in the foreseeable future unless you panic and start it with some damn fool move like this.
And if you're wrong, what then? We wake up one morning, our oil is gone. We find that we have sold all we have in exchange for paper money that is worthless.
When the Arabs learn that word of what they've been doing is out, they may panic, move a big chunk of funds too fast or the wrong way, really destabilize the monetary markets. Then the dollar will collapse. Whereupon there'll be a lot of jawboning by the president, and that won't work. Then they'll go to selling gold, and that won't work either. Then they'll have to go to capital controls, freeze foreign assets, stop any money from going in or out, and that will be the end of all the markets. That'll really be the finish. Then you'll see a worldwide depression that'll make the 1930s look like a kindergarten. In 2 months, you'll have bread lines in Detroit, riots in Pittsburgh. In 6 months, you'll see grass right over Rodeo Drive and Michigan Boulevard and Fifth Avenue, and I won't have done it, Hub. You will. All because you tried to stop a movement that couldn't be stopped anyway. Listen to me, Hub. Money, capital, has a life of its own. It's a force of nature, like gravity, like the oceans. It flows where it wants to flow. This whole thing with the Arabs and gold is inevitable. We're just going with the tide. The only question is whether you want to let it go like an unguided missile and raise hell, or whether you want to keep it in the hands of responsible people. Keep it channeled. Keep it quiet. Believe me, Hub, the dollar will hold. Believe me. The system will be fine, providing nobody panics.
It began 8 days ago when a group of Arab investors withdrew billions of dollars from U.S. banks. That in turn started a chain reaction on the world money markets. Dollars, pounds, marks, francs, yen. Not one currency escaped. This scene outside a Manhattan bank was duplicated all over the world as people saw their life savings become worthless in a matter of hours. Good evening, I'm George Page in New York, and this is another in our series of reports on the world economic crisis. The growing paralysis of the industrial world has left millions without jobs, without money, and without hope. Crowds of unemployed poured into Washington yesterday. They stood in silent protest before the nation's leaders. At the same time, more than 1 million people packed St. Peter's Square, where the Pope urged calm and nonviolence. The pontiff asked for prayers for world leaders, prayers and peace and reason. But the last 24 hours have been marked by growing protests and ever-increasing violence. Last night, demonstrators burned American currency in front of the White House, and attempts to put out the fires led to a confrontation with police. Every hour, from every corner of the globe, there are new reports of outraged crowds demanding action. A bankrupt world seems to be teetering on the very edge of anarchy.
Meeting today that the leading oil-producing nations would resume oil exports as soon as the international monetary markets have stabilized. the panic has spread across political and philosophical boundaries. The USSR and the developed Eastern European communist countries, dependent on Western trade and capital, have witnessed the same riots that have taken place in the West. The Economic Summit Conference tomorrow will be attended by leaders of the West, the East, and the Third World.
Now, did you guys hear all that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, is that crazy? He just said Russia and everyone else just experienced the same things that happened in the West. So it just showed you that Saudi Arabia pulling their money out of the system caused all that. And we are on the cusp of them making that exact move. That's crazy, if you ask me, and it's real, non-fantasy.
What's the name of that movie?
Rollover. Let me send you a link.
That's nuts.
I think it's listed as Rollover here. It might not be the official name, but I'm going to send you the link and you can do some research on it. But I've watched multiple clips on it. There's people have used it different ways a couple of times, but it's an older 81 film. And
yeah, it is called Rollover.
Yeah.
1981. Here it is here.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's rated a 5.3 out of 10, which may be the deterrent from people from watching it.
Well, it's definitely got some very interesting information. The way that they lay it out there, I mean, you guys just heard it word for word. And to know that we sit in the exact moment in time right now where Saudi Arabia is threatening that, that's pretty crazy. If you ask me.
Yeah.
But once again, it pisses me off because everyone had thought that this was a fight, you know, to be able to sue Saudi Arabia. They were juked. They were lied to. Basically, they were just hoping that you would take the bait. And then guess what? Then the door was open for tribunals, and that's what they really wanted. So if they could have hoaxed you in that way, it's fine. You can understand all these world power leaders, they're in on this behind the scenes. You've got to see it. It's why they say a new world order. They're blatant about it. They're in on this on the other side. And it's against all of us, obviously. All the people of the world, every country, every religion, every color. We're in this together, whether you realize it or not. Whether they break you down into left, right, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever they want to label you. It's a label. And they're dividing you. I can't stand it. Never have been able to gravitate toward any of it. I've always seen it as just that division. And it's the tactics. But, you know, here recently, we just witnessed all this military equipment, UN equipment. And I'm going to do an update here, and I'm just going to clear the air on it. I told you I'd be putting out footage, but this is what happened. The gentleman that went up there and visited this place, he got a visit himself by the feds. And they had, because I was waiting to get a response back, as he was supposed to go up and get footage that next morning and then send it to me, whatever other information he was going to get to me. But the information that I got ended up being pictures showing that the feds came into his gun shop and were asking him questions. And they said, "What were you doing up here at this government facility?" He says, "I beg your pardon? It was a mattress factory. On Google, it's listed as Kellogg's, and the gate was wide open. They walked right on in. If it was a government facility, why was there no security?" And they were like, "Well, there's government vehicles in there." And he checked them and said, "Well, I have to correct you. The UN is not our government." And they didn't like that too well, and they left. But I'm telling you, the feds showed up over this. You hearing this? To the dude's place that went and found these UN vehicles. They're not being shipped off anywhere. They're staged.
What?
And then all the other military guys that I know that are hitting me up that have served in places like Europe and other places, they're hitting me up like, "Look, that's exactly what this looks like." They've got the tankers, the crates. This is a pre-stage that they send in first phase softly. And as many times as we talked about this crap throughout the years, they're doing it here. They are staged, and that's just one little spot. If you guys remember, the apple orchard in West Virginia was said to have been packed with UN vehicles too up there, but we couldn't get anyone up there to check it out. It was too far of a drive for me. I was ready to go up there and fly the drone and get it. And I was willing to do the same thing here in this instance, and had been there and was like, I'll go get the footage. But this is what happened. They caught him on, I guess, camera. He said his business is plastered all over his Jeep. Found him pretty easy, and they showed up, and he sent us all the screenshots. They were there. They were filling him out, and they're pretty pissed.
And
this cat's out of the bag.
They admitted that it was a government facility.
Oh, yeah. They admitted it. They admitted it.
Wow.
They admitted it. After, if you go on Google, it's listed as a Kellogg's. But if you do some real deep digging like Bobby Ritter did, he found on a Facebook listing a page showing that that address is a government facility. That's the only place he found it. But who's going to go on Facebook looking for something like that? Most people go to Google, and the first thing that they pull up is what they're expecting it should be.
Well, what's the name of the Kellogg where?
Well, on Google, it's the Kellogg factory.
In what city?
You have to go back check out the video.
Maryland?
It's in Maryland, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up on Google Earth. I'm gonna go back to the history and see if there's any other, go all the way back, 20, 30 years ago.
But I hear people say, in other instances we've seen military equipment, not UN, but military equipment staged at places that shouldn't, and people bring up the fact, oh, well, the people that own this place have contracts with the. I'm like, doesn't that throw a red flag with you right there that they have contracts? John Deere has contracts with the military, and they're staging the stuff all over the place. I mean, some people just take whatever they feed them, just in doesn't matter what it is, and it's the excuse. It's like good enough, and it's bullshit to me because something's going on. I've been covering this for a long time. If people send me in information all the time, ever since the whole stuff with Jade Helm, people sending me in military stuff, movement, this and that. Here recently, the low flying stuff, not only over my own house, but other people's that they've been showing me. The Ospreys taking off right next to the highway. I mean, this is a different kind of movement. This isn't just stuff on a rail line. This is guys with guns in turrets going down the highway, guys in Black Hawks going right over your property in packs. I mean,
you're right, Doug, because it's like they're hiding it. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, there's no security around this place. Like, they're trying to hide these vehicles there. It has nothing to do with storage. There's a million other places they could store vehicles like this. They could get a store in a field or whatever. Why are they storing it at a Kellogg facility?
To me, it's strategic location. If you look at the map where it sits, it's strategic location. It's exactly what the other guys were talking about. To me, it's...
Yeah, let me pull this up and we'll go back through the history on this. I got to pull it up on Google Earth. This is crazy. Man, can you guys see? Can you see this? So here it is. Here's all the vehicles. We'll go back through the history. Let's go back. 2015. 2013. Gosh, they've been there a while. These are them right here, right? Back here.
You got to zoom in, man. There was more. Some of them were black and silver vehicles. Hold on a second.
That looks like a tank right here. Look at that.
Let me present to everybody.
There's some white. These look like other kind of vehicles too. Let me go to the present, and then we'll start going back in time. From there,
go to the other side of the building.
Oh, over here?
Yeah. Let's check it out real quick.
Oh, right here. Let's turn this
on. I think those are a bunch of federal vehicles. And now go forward in time.
Okay.
To the next year.
Okay, this is 2016. Let's go back. Whoa, look at these. Right here, armored vehicle right here. There's one right there.
Yep.
Go back.
Yeah, I mean, we know. Yeah, that's just more proof. When I saw the aerial satellite shots, it was just concrete stamp proof that, dude, they're there. This isn't no BS. And
looks like this started in 2011, as recently as 2011. Look at all these vehicles. This is a little worse resolution here, but this one says 2011. It looks like they had a lot of vehicles staged back here too. And look, they're hiding them here. This is back in 2011, where maybe it wasn't as acceptable to have UN vehicles on American soil. See this big hedge of trees here? kind of hiding it from the road. You wouldn't be able to see this from the road.
It's way at the end of the road at that too.
Oh yeah, and at that exactly, Eric. It's away from the entrance of the road, like hidden back here. And then okay, so that's 2011. Then we go to 2013. Now they're getting more bold about it. They got some of them parked up here on this road here, and then again back here. Oh, look,
but you're talking about a lot of those. The darker ones are all cars. They're government vehicles. Those aren't necessarily the armored vehicles and UN stuff.
But still, I mean, government vehicles.
Right, right.
And look at this. They're hiding them behind from the view with these with these trailers.
Well, those crates there actually could be the UN ones. We don't know because of the ground, because the white ones do say UN. As a matter of fact, I've got a doozy. I'm just going to go ahead and drop.
Oh, look, it's not going to let us go down to the street view. I was going to say, let's see how close we can get on the street view.
Hold on.
Okay.
Check out my
screen. Right here. Okay.
Keebler truck still parked in the thing. Look at these barriers. Red, white, and blue, and black, massive barriers.
Dude, what if they're transloading off UN equipment into Keebler and Swift trailers and transporting the stuff around the country under that kind of shadow? Like gear and equipment in cookie trucks.
Dude, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, but
and what is funny is,
let me I gotta do what I gotta do here to keep things keep dude fucking clear.
That's crazy. Here, let's see if there's any government contracts between Kellogg and the let's see. What? Kellogg became the first American contractor to receive contracts from the People's Republic.
Yeah, when he sent me that, Bobby sent me that, it all started to fall into place.
But
you
China?
ever read into that? Huh?
China, People's Republic of China. They're the first contractor to receive contracts from China. That's crazy.
We're here at the Sealy mattress.
I didn't do what I wanted.
Hey.
Not doing what I want. Now you guys want to see? See? That's a big store stuff. Here's we got the tankers next to it.
That's crazy. In plain sight, man.
Look at these little things, like mini tankers, like little oil things or something, or generators on that one. And then the big fuel tankers. They got it all there.
What if those are water trucks?
Well, there's a whole slew of white trucks down there too. I don't know.
Yeah, instead of like being fuel tankers, what if those things are set up to haul potable water? Maybe that's going to be one of the, for say it's going to be another engineered storm and we just absolutely need the UN to come in because they can help us, water distribution. You know what I'm saying? A soft warm up to the UN.
My turn to drop some bombs. Kellogg, Brown, and Root and its predecessors have received many contracts with the U.S. military, including during World War II, Vietnam War, and the Iraq War. These are war contracts. We have UN vehicles. What? Are you guys seeing my screen share?
Mm-hmm.
The company's corporate offices are in KBR Town in downtown Houston. Well, that's by me. I should go check that out. See if there's any UN vehicles down there. This is it.
Probably.
What's the Halliburton years right there?
You've got a location like that.
You saw Halliburton?
Click on, item 3, right above Cuba. It's a Halliburton years. Or keep going up.
Whoa.
There it is. 1.3.
Following the death of Herman Brown, Halliburton Energy Services acquired Brown and Root in December 1962. According to Dan Brody, who wrote a book on the subject, the company became part of a consortium of 4 companies that built about 85% of the infrastructure needed by the Navy during the Vietnam War. It's all about war, you guys. UN's not supposed to be all about war. At the height of the anti-war movement in the 1960s, Brown and Root was derided as burn and loot by protesters. Oh, in 1989, Halliburton acquired another major engineering construction contractor, CF Braun Incorporated of Hamper, California. That's where they pump out all the water out of California and bottle it for the rest of the world. And California is supposed to be in a drought. And merged it with Brown and Root. From 1995 to 2002, Halliburton KBR this is Halliburton. Halliburton KBR. It's Halliburton, you guys.
Funding wars through cookies since 1995.
What? Was awarded $2.5 billion to construct and run military bases. That's why they're saying it was a military base, because this is Halliburton. They're a government contractor, the biggest government contractor.
Yeah, ran by Dick Cheney.
Exactly.
By Dick Cheney.
Some in secret locations as part of the U.S. Army Logistics Civil Augmentation Program. You guys just found a secret location. The extent of their services include a vast array of logistical operations, historically under the jurisdiction of the military. He was on a military base. Such operations include laundry services, meal services, dining
Yeah, they
halls.
had no security and the gates wide open.
Because it's undercover, they don't want to blow their cover, so they have to make it look like it's something else.
Yeah, with Keebler trucks still at the dock. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I just showed you the footage. Keebler trucks still at the damn docks.
Oh, here's Hurricane Katrina linked in. See, you guys? Under a competitive bid contract it won in July 2005 to provide debris removal. See, it's all order out of chaos. They get paid through our chaos that they create. And other emergency work associated with natural disasters. KBR started assessment of the cleanup and reconstruction of the Gulf Coast Marine and Navy facilities damaged in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. The facilities included Naval Station Pascagoula, Naval Station Gulfport, Space Center, Mississippi, and New Orleans, Louisiana. Unbelievable. So this is Halliburton, you guys. And unless I'm reading this wrong, KBR is Halliburton. Hey, this is big, you guys. So stay safe out there.
Boom.
We just uncovered some craziness.
No, we've got to yeah. I'm thinking ahead. But we've got to find more places that are hidden.
Now we know the key. We got the keys, right?
We need to go to every Keebler place around.
Let's see if they
just see what's behind them.
Let's see if they mention Maryland in this article.
I mean, it's really. Yeah, and is every single Keebler place actually a military base? I mean, that is just no. It's just no. No. And I don't expect everybody to go out there. You're going to go to a Keebler plant and you're going to find nothing. And it's just going to be a Keebler plant. I'm sure you're going to find that. They're going to exist out there, real ones. But the fact that they're using fronts, basically a shell, is what it is, just a front. Even keeping the Keebler trucks in the docks and everything to make it look like that. Where they screwed up here is they had everything tucked away at a dead end, and they should have never left the one truck sitting out front. They probably got away with all this if they would have kept the armored vehicle and UN stuff just sitting around back and kept the gate closed. We probably wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Look at this. KBR's maintenance work in Iraq has been criticized after reports of soldiers electrocuted from faulty wiring. Maybe they knew too much. This is like 007 right here, man. This is craziness.
Al, it is what it is.
Wow.
Here first.
So this goes on. A sexual assault and abuse allegations. This is a really long Wikipedia article. I'd have to pull this apart. Is this the same KBR, you guys? Kellogg, Brown and Root? Is this the same building? Are we talking about the same building where these UN trucks are? Same company? I don't want to get this wrong.
Well, you clicked on the Halliburton years link from KBR. It's KBR Inc. Kellogg Brown. Are they the same as like Kellogg's too?
I mean, what's the odds though, if not that the building is still is labeled a Kellogg's? If it's not, I mean, and you've got
here. Let's look up Kellogg's, Maryland. See what comes.
I mean, how did you get there to begin with?
I just typed in Kellogg's, Brown and Root. This is what it says the building is, right? KBR.
I never said anything about a KBR, but I said it's a Kellogg's factory.
Okay. Yeah, KBR is a completely different company.
Kellogg, Maryland.
I forget the name of the exact city.
Yeah, we need the exact name of that building.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna send you a screenshot here of from off of Facebook that shows it as being a military. Here, I'm just gonna tell you the address. So
okay, what is it?
Give me 1 second. All right. It says it is a State Department storage facility. It is 11841.
11841.
Newgate, all one word. Boulevard, or BLVD. And then it has STE 200. Hagerstown, Maryland.
Well, the State Department, that's government. That's the State Department.
Mm-hmm. It shows that right there. With that, I mean, what's the address bringing up?
That's the Facebook, I guess he was talking about.
Hagerstown Warehouse. Let's see. Let's type in Kellogg, see if that pulls up.
No, to click on that address. Do the research on the address.
Okay.
Yeah, right when you pull up the map, it says Kellogg's, and it sends you to kellogg's.com.
Here it is. Got it. Before the Kellogg building was erected. Here it is. Let's see here. Near Hagerstown. Construction begins on warehousing, manufacturing building near Hagerstown. Here it is, 11835 Newgate. Hunter's Green Industrial Park. Is this it?
Now this is 11841.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a different building.
Different one.
I thought it had it right there in your Google. It had the address.
Do you see it in here?
Like the third one down there. It said 11841 Newgate. The third selection down right there.
Oh, third selection down.
Address is right there.
Right here, this one?
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
That's it.
What is it saying it is? Hunter's Green 2 building. Liberty Hunter's Green.
Okay. Owned. Built in 2008. I can't see much more of the writing.
Just so you guys know, I just clicked that Facebook link to the State Department storage facility.
Mm-hmm.
That was generated by Facebook. It's not a page created by anyone. So Facebook is deeming that that's what it is, the State Department storage facility.
That's interesting.
Very.
You
shouldn't have this much difficulty finding this at that rate like that.
Exactly. It should pop right up. I'm trying to see if Kellogg's linked into it. Let's.
Well, you can go back up there and type in Kellogg's factory.
Yeah. It doesn't look like the two. Let's take this out of here. It's called Live Research. Okay, here it is. Kellogg Company. Super pages.
There's the address.
There it is right there. Kellogg Company.
It was built in 2008.
Call them up. Hey, where's Professor Doom when you need him?
I'm looking at something right now that looks like from govcb.com that there was a contract, for utilities and training services at that location.
Kellogg's, this is it. It is Kellogg's.
I'm about to do a screen share.
Okay. Get off on my.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, right here. Hagertown Warehouse Services, Utilities and Training Services. This is pre-solicitation notice for the U.S. Department of State, yada, yada, yada.
Talks about the Department of State.
Yep.
Oh, I got an idea. We'll look at Kellogg. So we know it's Kellogg's, and we know but we need to link Kellogg's to KBR. Kellogg's. I think they're the same.
Yeah, right here. Contracting office address. Right there. Department of State, Hagertown Warehouse, 11841, Newgate Boulevard, Suite 200. So pretty much they're using this for training.
And staging. Very interesting.
Training, staging, warehousing, all of that stuff.
And still got the Keebler trucks out front.
Probably half and half.
Anyway, man. The lengths they're trying to go.
Wow.
And it looks like it was for $25.5 million.
25 mil?
Yeah, 25 and a half.
All right, so that's some good updated information on that.
Hey, I kind of jumped in here to drop a little something about ICANN since it is coming up here soon.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna I just want to read out a portion of the Constitution, regardless of people's feelings on if it even matters or not, and what our duty as people could be just to kill time. So it's pretty simple. The U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2 is the property clause. Clause 1 is for states, basically geographically. Clause 2 is for property. And it's the Congress shall have the power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, which means that no executive branch can give away the internet to anybody. That's the job of Congress. But since Congress doesn't do anything, it's our responsibility to enact on 42 U.S. Code 1983. This code is civil action for deprivation of our rights. And we can have individually any person under any statute of this ordinance can take the District of Columbia, D.C., to a civil case. So after this gets transferred tomorrow, everybody can pick up the phone and they can request their sheriff to come out and they can file a police report. And even though it sounds useless, it'll be enough to start to create waves. If 10,000 people tomorrow picked up the phone and filed a police report citing 42 U.S.C. 1983 civil action for deprivation of rights, because he can't give it away. Per Constitution, he can't do it, and that's it. I will leave links to people. Well, this is be posted on my Facebook page so that people can see what to do. If people really want to try to act out and everybody wants to be as mad about ICANN as they say they are, then take 10 minutes out of their day when he signs it over and make the fucking police report. Sorry about my language. And that's it.
All right.
File the report, and you take them to court. And what are they going to do? Deny you your right to court? This is your constitutional law. They are liable. They are the party. You know, and we have the rights. They wrote this stuff for us to do this to them. We didn't write. I didn't write it. They wrote it. So, if anybody wants to look that up right now, it's 42 USC. That's U.S. Code 1983, Section 1983 for civil action for deprivation of rights.
Yeah, definitely great information there. And I see people keep asking, calling Kellogg's. We got the number here. I trust me, I would have done did it right here, but my phone does not work worth the crap on my cell phone. I got the other phone in here on me. But these guys know my cell phone reception here is crap. But what do you guys want to do it right here on air? Call them. It doesn't matter to me. We can sit here and air it.
10 o'clock at night.
We'll hit a voicemail. And
What do you want me to ask them? Ask them
I think in this light, you'll hit a voicemail, and the voicemail alone should say, "You've reached the State Department," or whatever. So
ask them.
Well, give me the number. I got a phone. Give me the number.
It's 301-223-1161. Far away.
And you said they're listed under the State Department?
Yeah.
No.
And Kellogg's.
This is the number to that location, right?
Yeah. Just say, is this Kellogg's?
Why do you have UN vehicles in your backyard?
You don't have to go that route.
Oh, but I will.
No need.
Thank you for calling the Kellogg's DC of Hagerstown. If you know the extension of the person you wish to dial, you may dial it at any time. For company directory by first or last name, please press 2. For distribution, press 3. For sales, press 4. For directions, press 5. For all other inquiries, please press 0. Thank you for calling.
I'm Rick James.
What did she say? What company?
Kellogg's.
She said Kellogg's.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I swear, man.
She said Kellogg's.
She did.
So this is still fronting as fucking Kellogg's.
Yep.
So obviously the numbers in use. This is crazy.
I think though they still may be doing Kellogg's business inside, but not throughout the full building.
Well, I'm curious about this whole weapons
Thank
thing.
you for calling the Kellogg's DC of Hagerstown. If you know the extension of the person you wish to dial, you may dial it at any time. For company directory by first or last name.
I'm convinced, man, and it's
Dial by first name, press 1.
what it is.
Dial by last name, press 2.
Remember your live streaming and they had that Kellogg's.
You can shut it down, B.
Yeah, my bad. I'm trying to get an answering service.
Dial by first name, press 1. Dial by last name, press 2. To repeat, press 1.
Well, looks like Kellogg's renting a building out to the UN or some crap.
That's exactly what it looks like, man. In plain sight.
Yep. It makes no sense that Facebook generated that thing and said that it was a State Department warehouse. I mean,
now here's the thing. I'm having trouble linking, just for the record, KBR to the Kellogg Food Company.
it's probably different.
The connection is that these are all families. These families run everything.
And so that is true too. Kellogg, the name, just like Disney.
Yeah. So what happened is KBR, the CEO, called his little brother who owns the Kellogg cereal company and said, "Hey, dude, I need to store some UN vehicles on your lot." And that's kind of probably how this went down.
Oh yeah, we're just shipping them over there. Get ready for this invasion. We need to store them in your lot. Is that all right?
Yeah.
It's not against the Constitution or anything, you know. As long as there's no troops sitting in them. American people are stupid. They won't believe anything we tell them. Go ahead, bring them on in. Tankers, containers, the whole 9, armored vehicles. They won't know the difference. It's stupid as shit. Man. You bring them on in.
Now,
Walmart next.
Kellogg was, if I remember correctly, the guy that invented corn flakes, was a Seventh-day Adventist, which is what I used to be before I woke up. And he started smashing the cereal because they couldn't do anything on the Sabbath, which is Saturday. So they came up with this idea to like smash these grains of corn, right? So that they wouldn't have to actually do work. They could just add a little bit of milk to the cereal and they wouldn't have to cook on the Sabbath. So that's the story behind the flakes anyways. I don't know if Kellogg, I guess it was Kellogg. Take a look. Let's see if these guys are related. The Kellogg from KBR and Kellogg from Kellogg's.
You can do your own research on that, man. That's going deep down the rabbit hole, and we ain't got the time for it tonight. I'm just kidding. I mean, we're out of time here. It's 10 o'clock. We can keep going on and on and on, I know, but I don't know what these guys got planned for after the show from here this evening, but if nobody else goes live, you never know. I could go live again here on this channel. I just know if I'm going to continue presenting stuff, I want to do it in a different frame here, and we'll shut this down for the night and put this one in the books. But everybody, make sure you're subscribed to my J.KNIGHT channel. Some of you probably may not have heard of it, but make sure you're subscribed to it. I have a link in the description box. It's J.KNIGHT. Make sure you're subbed there because I may start utilizing going live there a lot more, as well as I'm going to be putting exclusive videos out on Twitter as well. Trying to use every little outlet we can, the best of our ability, and take advantage of it. I hate just being stuck here on YouTube, so I'm trying to shift over to Twitter a little bit, which I know it's not any better. None of these platforms are, but you know they're controlling all of it. But I at least would rather have different avenues to cruise down instead of just stuck on one. We're getting some Gestapo around here, but you guys got any closing statements or stories here before we shut it down tonight?
Not really, man. Good show. If people get a little confused in the chat when they hear my name Casey, it's Enter the Stars. Some people got some confused last time, and I hate to correct people because you can just call me by my first name, but I am Enter the Stars. So go ahead and sub up to my channel if you haven't already. Put the link in the description or in the chat.
Heck yeah! Next week, we're gonna do the show on.
We can do it on my backup channel. If you only knew, I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. So that's what we're going to aim for. Yeah. And then by next weekend's going to be the second debate here in St. Louis. So that'll be the next thing we'll be trying to focus in on. And B, you got any closing statements?
No, I mean, tomorrow night, as usual, Saturday night after hours with Eric and myself. No other special guests at this point, but we're just going to go over the events this week, and you know, that's about it. Just so after hours tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, my channel, and then of course watch for me because if some stuff pops off tonight, you know, we're usually right on it, analyzing just about everything, you know, seeing what's going on.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, and then like I said, guys, watch for on my Facebook page for me to put the U.S. code on there and the constitutional section 4 there. If you guys are serious about wanting to preserve some stuff, at least making a valiant attempt, when he hands that over, you call that sheriff. That's all we have left, because clearly
they call the sheriff, and then they do what?
You have to file a police report and take them to court.
Over what specifically?
You have to tell them that they've civil action against your deprivation of rights. This is a U.S. code, which means we can use a civil suit. I'm trying to get people the
ammunition here in their mind of what they're going to have to use.
This is a U.S. code, meaning it's a civil suit, which means you have to file a report to initiate. You can't just you don't have to go and find a lawyer and spend a whole bunch of money. You can call the sheriff's department. You don't want to call a local. You want to call your sheriff's department, because now you're filing with an elected official, and that's big, because our elected representatives are gone. So you have to go to another elected official and create this civil suit and sue them. Everybody should. It takes no time out of your day, and they will do everything in their power to never have to send a representative out to meet you in court. But imagine if a tidal wave went across this country of civil suits against the U.S. for violating the Constitution, for giving our internet away, because our elected representatives couldn't even get together for one stupid thing. and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? That proves the sham. It proves that it's not about anything but what they want to do. They can't even get together and say, you know what, we're going to protect the internet because they're all on the same damn team.
Right.
But they wrote these rules. You know, they started by writing the Constitution, and then somewhere in there they wrote this U.S. code that allows us to sue them, and that's what the heck we need to do, just to do it.
All right, good breakdown. Eric, you got any closing shout-outs?
I would like to thank everybody that's inside the chat and always watching. Also want to welcome all of you to the Sunday Truth Lounge that will be taking place every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Heck yeah, you never know when any of us will go live at any given time, at any given spot. We're working on things. Anytime an event comes up, we try our best to try to get to them. You know, Charlotte here, I know it was one we missed, but we still had we didn't really miss it because we had you guys. Like Ryan. I mean, people just come out the shadows. They live stream, then guess what? We've got eyes and ears on the ground, and that's killer. That's key. We can't get somewhere. Other people can come out and get it done for us and play their part. That's killer. That's what this is about, growing. But St. Louis next on the radar, and that's what we'll be aiming for next. And yes, shout outs to everyone out there that's tuned in, everyone that shares the links, for sure. Everyone that shares the information on the daily, period. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. And like I said, make sure you're subbed to the J.KNIGHT channel because I'm going to be live streaming more and more there, and I'm going to be putting out exclusive video on Twitter that you're only going to find on Twitter. So, shout outs to everybody once again. Also, got to give a shout out here before we go to our recent sponsor, Essential Drugstore. And I've had some people asking about the EpiPen stuff. I'm not the person to answer all those questions, but those guys do have it for very cheap. I know they're talking $600 out here, and they've got for like $70. So, you know, I'm going through these guys for a reason because it serves as a good avenue for people to stock up on stuff. If you guys don't see something on there that you think would be good for the people to have access to, let me know. Talk to them, see what we can't do, and go from there. But yeah, shout outs to everybody across the board. We're going to shut this down for the night. And next week, you can catch us on Casey's channel, If You Only Knew. And this is the Underground Crew signing off September 30th, 2016. Much love, y'all. We'll see you on the flip side. We're out.